More on trade and the recent booming stock market over the last couple of weeks at least. Let's bring in economist and former chief economic policy advisor for John McCain and American Action Forum president Doug Holtz-Eakin. Doug, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Rich.
So you heard from the vice president there that it could be India, it could be South Korea, it could be Japan. They want to accomplish 70 trade deals in 90 days. We only got 65 days left, or 66 days left. We have no trade deals. I mean, this is a pretty tall task.
It's an enormous task, and it's a crucial task because, we saw the reaction on Liberation Day, which is just a dramatic turmoil in financial markets and across the globe. Since then, people, I think, have been assuming that the deals will get struck, those tariffs will go away, and things will be all right. I don't think that's right. And but the more they can get done, the better. My hope is if they get in India, Japan, that's a template, and it becomes easier to get the other countries to sign on.
But even if they do get these deals, the idea that tariffs are entirely going away, that's not happening, is it?
That's not happening. There is this narrative that the president blinked, he did a U-turn. Suppose he gets rid of the so-called reciprocal tariffs that really are the meat of these deals. He's still got 10% across the board. He's got tariffs on China, Canada, Mexico, steel, aluminum, autos, and more to come. Pharmaceuticals, chips, lumber, copper. That's a lot of tariffs.
Speaking of autos, here's what Stephen Miller had to say about perhaps Americans paying more for their cars.
But in the meantime, while manufacturing ramps up, American consumers may pay more. Do you agree?
Not on cars they won't, because again, there's now a massive economic incentive for automobile producers to expand production in the United States, and whatever they make here, there will be no tariff.
So what do you think? That's going to happen?
That's not going to happen. Certainly not on the timetables that they're looking at. GM announced it's going to cost them $4 to $5 billion in tariffs. They're not going to just quietly eat $4 to $5 billion. That's going to show up as higher car prices. Other automakers in the same position. One of our biggest exporters is actually BMW, assembled in South Carolina, subject to all of those tariffs. They're going to get hammered by this. So this is a dramatic upheaval in the auto market. People are focused on just the U.S.-Canada border or U.S.-Mexico border. It's across the industry.
The argument from the White House is that when you put higher tariffs on, not only are you gaining revenue, but then on top of that, too, you're bringing manufacturing back to the United States. And while there might be short-term pain, when there's the next inauguration day in 2029, we'll have deregulation, we'll have more energy, cheaper energy, and then on top of that, we'll have more manufacturing in the United States, and we'll fix those structural issues. Is that wrong?
It's hard to believe that it's going to work. Those tariffs in 2001 on the steel industry, we didn't see a big boom. We did that again in 2018. We didn't see a big boom in steel production. We're doing that again in 2025. Is it going to work? We've seen this movie before. Tariffs can be used as a strategic tool in trade negotiations. Trade negotiations are a great way to acquire more secure supply lines, things like that. But they're not going to get people to come back and build a pharmaceutical manufacturing plant, which takes 10 years. They're going to look at this and say, okay, he's in office for 4 years most. Let's just hold off, see what the lay of the land is in a couple of years, and build where it's best for us.
How about the threat of sensitive manufacturing that we have in China? Is there a different way to go about making sure that maybe some of that comes back or at least goes to friendlier countries?
Oh, yeah, it makes perfect sense to have a defense industrial base. That's a necessity. You can do that with contracts. You can write a contract that says, we need these on these terms.
Pharmaceuticals and PPE and all that stuff from the pandemic.
It's money. And, a tariff is not the only tool we have for getting things delivered in the United States in a secure fashion. And so, expand the portfolio a little bit. Let the private sector worry about its supply chains. Worry about the ones that matter for the people. That's the government's job.
You may have noticed they're back this week. Congress is back.
I'm aware.
They're negotiating the big, beautiful bill. We in this country have debt levels that we've not seen since we were trying to win the Second World War. What are the risks of putting more money on the deficit? How involved does Congress need to be in deficit reduction?
Well, one of the scary aftermaths of Liberation Day was not just the gyrations of financial markets. It was the rise in long-term interest rates and the decline in the dollar. That was investors fleeing the United States, no longer a safe haven. If they get worried about treasuries not being safe, we'll see the same thing, and we'll have a lot of economic distress. So It's time to take care of business. It's not just that we have a lot of debt, and we have a lot of debt. The trajectory is even worse. We are going to accumulate more, and there's no appetite to fix it. That's a big problem.
And you got to touch entitlements for that, right?
You have to touch everything. You can't put everything off, take everything off the table and say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to cut non-defense annual spending and then give it to defense. That's not going to solve the problem.
All right. Doug Holtz-Eakin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.